Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the Showtime pay-per-view recap from Saturday, September 30th that was headlined by Canelo Alvarez and Charlo, the battle of the two undisputeds, as they competed for Canelo's 168-pound undisputed title. We're going to talk about the whole card now. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support as I continue to build my channel up here. So let's get it rolling with the Elijah Garcia and Rosendez fight. And Garcia, I heard it was a close, good battle. I didn't get a chance to watch it, that first fight, but heard it was a close, good battle between the two. Garcia got the win. They said maybe, from what I read, it could have been like a little bit of an early stoppage, but Garcia continues his undefeated ways and rolling forward. So good, good to get a win on a big card like this to boost your name up more. But let's get into the three big fights. Next up was Yordenis Ugas against Mario Barrios for the WBC interim welterweight title. I'm sorry, at 147 pounds. And Mario Barrios did what was in the back of my mind that he could do. He really fought his ass off and fought the best fight of his life. He boxed well, used a good jab, and Yordenis Ugas, he looked old. He did. He looked old. He looked like he was having trouble pulling the trigger. He wasn't throwing enough punches. And don't get me wrong, that had a lot to do with Barrios, and what he was doing, but it just wasn't the same Yordenis Ugas that we saw when he defeated Manny Pacquiao, when we saw the way he dominated Omar Figueroa Jr., the way he fought Sean Porter, his win over Abel Ramos. It just wasn't the same Ugas. You could just tell that he looked old, that he was hesitant to pull the trigger, that the age difference was a big deal. And Mario Barrios just looked sharp. He looked good. He was landing good shots. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ugas landed some good shots in that first half of the fight. He even stunned Barrios once or twice. He even caught him with a punch in the late rounds that I was just like, oh shit, he caught him clean. But overall, he just could not crack the shell and just do enough. And Mario Barrios ate up the eye that Errol Spence beat the shit out of when they fought. And he just did a great job of breaking down the veteran and former champ Yordenis Ugas. And Mario Barrios looked solid. He looked good. And now has made his name at 147. He's a WBC interim champion. And for all intents and purposes, he's your next WBC champion at 147 because Terrence Crawford's probably going to be moving to 154. To fight Errol Spence. He's probably giving up those belts at 147, and Barrios is going to get upgraded. At the very least, he might end up fighting Mario Barrios, Terrence Crawford, so Barrios will get that big fight. But either way, 3 of the 4 title belts at 147 are going to be owned by PBC guys now. Boots Ennis is probably going to get upgraded to IBF champ. What's his name? Stanionis, Amante Stanionis, probably going to get upgraded to WBA champion. So you're going to have unifications and fights in the future. Mario Barrios really, really made a splash and got a huge win on a big card. His time is now, and very much looking forward to seeing if he gets upgraded to full champ and what he's going to do next. We'll discuss that more as when I do my What's Next video next week on Mario Barrios. So congratulations to him. Yordenis Ugas, nothing to hang his head about. As long as he doesn't, as long as he doesn't announce retirement between now and next week for his What's Next video, he'll absolutely is still in the top 10 and will be getting a What's Next video. He fought as hard as he could, but the eye, in my opinion, from the Errol Spence fight is an issue, and he just looked old. He looked like it's time, and maybe retirement's the best option, but we'll discuss that if he hasn't retired already by next week with the What's Next video. So that's it on that fight. The co-feature, that I was ready to watch Still the Show saw Jesus Ramos take on Erickson Lubin at 154. Big time. It was an eliminator, big time fight to prove who's moving up in line at 154. And disappointed on both ends. Ramos, you know, the first half of the fight, it was definitely a technical fight. These guys, it was more Lubin in the middle of the ring, I thought was doing the better work, using a good jab and stuff. And then when Lubin would let himself get on the ropes and Ramos would land the body punches, consistent body punching that I kind of had him winning halfway through the fight. I had him like, it could have been 3-3 or it could have been 4-2. The guy, Duran, the man that I was watching the fights with, me and him were both like, yeah, it's pretty even at the halfway point. And then the second half of the fight, like maybe 7 and 8, definitely went to Ramos. So I thought he had a comfortable lead, maybe 6-2 rolling into those last 4 rounds. I mean, if people want to say 7-1, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because those first 6 rounds I thought were close. But the last 4 rounds, Ramos just didn't do very much, and Lubin just did a little bit more. He wasn't, you know, trying to mix it up and land big shots. Lubin, you could tell, was hesitant about the power, and he decided to use a jab and try to box more. And, you know, it almost totally worked. But when it went to the scorecards, I did believe that Ramos had done enough to win the fight. And then the decision went to, you know, Lubin, and I was surprised, you know, that it went to Lubin. But I was more surprised at the scores, you know. 9-3, 8-4 twice. I mean, I just don't see how Erickson Lubin won that many rounds. But again, a lot of that first half of the fight, the rounds were close. It was tough to score. And I thought Lubin was doing good work in the middle of the ring, jabbing at times, and that could have been the thing that swung some of those rounds. So, you know, I really think both guys didn't open up as much as they should have, and that probably is what made Lubin look like maybe he lost, and it probably is what led to Ramos's actual loss. So, not the best performance on either end, but both these guys have serious cases to make at 154 now, which is about to be, you know, Charlo's coming back down to fight there, but I really think the other guys fighting each other is going to be very important. And I don't know how much it helped either guy's career, the performances that happened, but I definitely think they're in that serious mix of guys and are going to stay there. So Lubin gets a decision. I didn't think he should have won the fight, but I do believe the fight was closer than other people think. And excuse me, and that's my final take on the Lubin and what's his name fight, Ramos fight. Now the main event, Canelo and Charlo for the undisputed super middleweight title. Canelo just, you know, you could tell early in the fight, very early on the first round, when Canelo landed the power shots, when he hit Charlo, you could tell the difference in getting hit by a super middleweight impacted Charlo. Now, Charlo, you know, packed a good chin in this fight. He got hit with some shots, and it was more that, you know, I was talking to Duran, the man, the guy I was watching the fight with. I was talking to him that, because I kept noticing that Charlo was moving just enough to not get hit on the chin. When Canelo would try to throw to the body, his elbows were down in the spot where the body punch would land. And I felt like he was doing a good job and had game planned Canelo right. He just couldn't keep Canelo off of him and from landing those shots. So, you know, that the defense was solid in terms of getting hit with clean, consistent shots for Charlo. So I give him credit for that. But the reason I feel like he wasn't throwing enough, a lot of people are saying, oh, he showed up for a paycheck, blah, blah, blah. I think it was just because, you know, of it was the punching power for sure. I'm not sure the size difference in terms of, you know, because obviously Charlo's taller and longer. I'm not sure the size difference was all that big of a deal outside of the punching power. But I really think it came down to a skill set. matchup. I've said this for years that the two Charlo brothers are good. Especially Jermell. I have mad respect for Jermell. I like Jermell. But I never thought either fighter was great. And Canelo is a great fighter. Canelo has a very good skill set. He's a very good, accomplished boxer puncher. And, you know, he was putting the pressure on and was cutting the ring off and was landing the harder, better shots, but and took the shots well. He got hit with a couple clean shots by Charlo and just took them well, but I really think Canelo, he did score the knockdown. I believe it was in the 7th round, but I believe Canelo could have got the knockout. He just he was looking for more one punch at a time, and I think that hurt him. I think he was just overconfident, though, because Charlo didn't have shit for him. Skill-wise, power-wise, Charlo didn't have shit for him. So I think Canelo was kind of looking at it like, you know what, this guy's got nothing for me, so I'm just going to go look for the headhunt and look for the knockout. But I think that hurt Canelo, because I think if Canelo would have thrown that jab to the body and right hand over the top, that feint, the old Rocky Marciano punch, I think he gets Charlo out of there. I think, you know, to the midsection, the jab to the midsection, and right on top of it, an overhand right hand, like the feint and the punch that he landed against James Kirkland years ago. I think that would have led to a knockout victory for Canelo. But he dominated the action, went all 12. People can criticize all they want. They say a guy that moved up 2 weights, he couldn't knock him out. You know, again, Mosley moved up 2 weight classes and beat De La Hoya, and everybody was impressed as hell with that. De La Hoya didn't knock him out, went 12. De La Hoya and Pacquiao, same thing. You've had plenty of examples of this happen, and if a guy has a great chin, which Charlo always has, he's never been knocked out or put down, and a guy, you know, can take a punch, then, and Canelo, let's not forget, started his career at welterweight. This is his 4th official weight class. So the knockouts come sometimes they don't, but Canelo's not an overwhelming knockout fighter. So I don't think the criticism is warranted on Canelo for not knocking Charlo out, because Charlo is considered to be a good-ass fighter. You know, he took over 154. He's an undisputed champion there. He was. And I think more credit needs to go to Canelo for the victory, and Charlo needs to also deserve credit for taking the fight, going out there, and I really do believe that Charlo did the best that he could, but I think he definitely was worried about getting knocked out, and that caused him to hesitate. So a lot of people can say, and this is the final thing I'm going to say about the fight, a lot of people can sit there and criticize Charlo and say, well, I would have rather went for broke and got knocked out than lose a one-sided decision. That's real easy to say until you're in the ring feeling the punching power. That's all I'm going to say. And I feel Charlo did the best that he could do for the fighter that he is. So, you know, no shame in losing to Canelo. He did dare to be great. And he is likely going to be moving back down to 154. We'll talk about that next week on his What's Next video. Canelo is either going to get a What's Next video, or I'm going to do the Canelo sweepstakes video that I do after Canelo fights, because Canelo's the face of boxing. So there's a lot more to Canelo than just running through the top 10 in his personal division that he fights in. There's many other options, and there's a lot of guys in his weight class that just make no sense, that it's not even worth mentioning. So that he's either beaten or he would never take the fight. So we'll get into all that next week, but that was it. That was my Canelo versus Charlo Showtime pay-per-view recap. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.